And welcome to coverage of Pro Tour Gatecrash here from Montreal. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Zach Hill, and it is round one. We've switched things up a little bit. We're watching a draft match here to start things off. Instead of Constructed, it is Ben Stark. You're getting a look at Ben right there versus Reid Duke. Ben has a deck that we got a chance to see him draft. It is a Simic deck, and he's playing against Reid.
And he has a turn 2 Prophetic Prism. I think he actually missed a land drop. Reid is certainly capitalizing on it.
He kind of is. He played a Corpse Blockade, which isn't really going to do much, but it looks like there is a Simic Flux Mage now for Ben Stark. So, you know, he is getting things moving in the direction.
I think something that like we were talking about was whether Ben would end up splashing black. It looks like he definitely is. Yeah. And I'm really looking to see how his mana works out, because it's not something you see terribly often.
All right, now guys, take a look at your screen here. We have a new feature that we are unveiling here at Pro Tour Gatecrash as we see Ben Stark, and we get a chance to look at exactly what's in his hand right now as he plays out. Go ahead. Is that the anemones?
I think that is an anemone. so a lot of defense going on right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, shields are definitely up at this moment. It's a 1/4 defender that also has evolve. And let's see what Reid is going to come up with for his turn.
All right, that's this good old Sage's Road Denizen that we were talking about.
So this does look like it's potentially a mill situation for Reid. And we get a chance to look at the hands here. Now, we're still working out all the details on how this works, but you can get a chance to see what there is as it updates. You'll see it kind of flash. That's when we refresh the hand. So we see a Hands of Binding, a Killing Glare, and a Biomancer. The Master Biomancer was a late pickup in Pack 3 for Ben Stark, and a fantastic one at that, and it looks like it's on the table.
And you'll notice he actually could have cast that when he had 4 mana, but he didn't. I think he was playing around a counterspell from Reid.
Psychic Strike?
Psychic Strike, exactly. Or he wanted to bait out a removal spell. So, you know, Ben playing pretty conservatively with the Biomancer, because he knows if it stays on the table, he's going to be able to leverage it to a win no matter what. He doesn't really need to, you know, make sure it's on play. He doesn't need to give his anemone 2 more counters.
That's right. Let's take a look at Reid's hand. He's got the Diluvian Primordial that we saw past, and he's got a Gift of Orzhova, a Grisly Spectacle, a Way of the Thief, and a Stolen Identity.
Oh, really?
That's a sweet one.
So Reid, very, very powerful late game in his Dimir deck. But and I think, honestly, like, right here, do you just, he can't play Gift of Orzhova on Sage's Row Urbanite. I was going to say, does he start getting aggressive? Sage's Row Denizen. As y'all can tell, I'm still using the playtest.
Yeah. We'll get used to that, no problem. But yeah, he actually didn't have double black until he just drew that swamp.
And that's exactly what we see now. Gift of Orzhova, not necessarily the most straightforwardly powerful card, just +1/+1 flying and lifelink, but that card can deal a lot of damage in a hurry and win basically every race you're in. Now we do see Killing Glare from Ben Stark can deal with the Denizen if he wants it to.
That's right. Right now you'd think it would be a good time to start committing creatures to the board. He's got a Nimbus Swimmer in hand, and you know he wants to get the big bonus from his Master Biomancer and then get stuff out of the way, I'm assuming.
Right, exactly. And a neat interaction actually is the Stolen Identity, normally a really good card against higher end cards from any deck, especially Simic, but he can't really Stolen Identity the Nimbus Swimmer very profitably. It's kind of the interesting interaction.
It would be a 0/0.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
Yep. And it looks like Ben is going to go for the Nimbus Swimmer here. It's a 5/5 as it sits. He's triggering Evolve on his anemones and also on his Simic Flux Mage, and he looks like he's going to battle in there with the Flux Mage.
Flux Mage, again, not normally known for its combat prowess, but right now with 4 power, it can't even get blocked by Corpse Blockade.
Yeah. Beatdown time.
So, I mean, we're really seeing Ben's deck work very well here. You know, all of the Evolve cards are powering each other up. We see, you know, what's this almost like, you know, 15, what, 5, 9, 11, almost 15 power worth of creatures on the table, and it's not very late in the game.
No. Reid is just going to pass the turn back here. And Ben's drawn an island for the turn.
No, so is Reid holding up Grisly Spectacle mana? That's got to be what it is, right?
Yeah, because he did draw that second swamp before, so he certainly has the ability to do that. Now, he's going to want to kill the Master Biomancer, but he's got bigger problems on the board already.
I mean, I think you almost have to use it on the flyer right here.
Yeah, Nimbus Swimmer. And, you know, and if he does, that's got to make Ben Stark pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just sitting there with Master Biomancer on the table, the game is not going to go on for very long.
That's right. And right now, Ben Stark is not under very much pressure. He's sitting at 17 life. There's a 3-power flyer, but not a big deal.
So, I mean...
So, it looks like Ben's going to bash in and bring Reid Duke down to 10.
And you're not used to being at 10 life when you have Gift of Orjava on a, you know, a 2-3, right? Normally that card is racing in the air.
Now, it looks like this is, I think that Ben Stark is...
I think it was a 3-4.
Right?
This must be before blocks.
I don't know.
Before damage. I thought he passed the turn back, but I guess not. All right, he's going to play something. And it looks like while he has both of Reid Duke's black mana sources tapped, he's going to take this opportunity to kill.
Right, well, right. But because
Sage's
Reid doesn't have
Denizen.
3 mana open to cast the counterspell Psychic.
That's right. He doesn't have the mana for Psychic Strike because it costs blue black 1.
Exactly.
So he's got him in a position where he's not going to be able to interfere with that, and so they're going to trade creatures and removal spells here. There's a bunch of milling happening here. 5 cards are going to come off the top of Ben Stark's deck here, thanks to the Grizzly Spectacle. But Ben's still in a favorable position as he's got Master Biomancer. We see that Reid has just drawn an island for the turn, so he's creeping up towards Diluvian Primordial mana.
Right, and the thing about the Primordial, again, like the specific interactions, normally you'd want to use it on your opponent's removal spell, but he can't really use it on the Killing Glare.
Yeah.
Because the X being 0 is kind of unbelievable.
It's
in this
twice
matchup.
now, right?
Yeah.
Now, the Master Biomancer is not a legendary creature. So if he wants, he can make his own copy of a Master Biomancer. The problem is that he doesn't have a bunch of creatures to back it up with, although he does have a few. A Mortis Strider could be a 3/3 over and over again. That's not a dead card.
No, I mean, yeah, like if you're Stolen Identity, you're not in bad shape.
Yep, it looks like Reid just had to play his Diluvian Primordial. I don't think he got anything out of it.
No, I mean, you know, except for the 5/5 flyer.
That whole 5/5 flying thing, yeah.
But yeah, definitely not the ideal circumstance for that card, for sure.
All right, we see now, to get you guys used to the hand viewer on the right side, you see that the forest is kind of highlighted. That means it's the last card drawn by that player.
Exactly. With our new high technology
Yeah.
tools. You see Ben looking at his Hands of Binding. He's definitely going to cast it right here, one would expect. I mean, he can
absolutely
threaten lethal damage next turn if he does. He can tap down both the Blockade and the Primordial. I think he's just trying to figure out exactly which creature he wants to attach it to. Normally, Master Biomancer are a far more valuable creature, and frequently you want to have your Cypher spells on your less valuable creatures.
That's right. You don't want to open them up to removal. Yeah.
Exactly. But at this point, you know, the Flux Mage is a 4/5. So, you know, your Biomancer, it's kind of done a lot of its work at this point, and I think Ben's just trying to decide where he wants to Cypher.
Now, Ben does have another Simic Flux Mage in his hand, so he is going to get another big creature as well this turn, but he can do that post-combat.
Right.
He's got enough mana to do both.
And he's thinking hard about it.
He is
right
definitely
now.
thinking hard. Obviously, the anemones are a non-factor in this situation as he's under no pressure and they can't attack.
Right.
All right, so it looks like he has attached it to the Simic Flux Mage, and he is going to attack with both, and that is going to prompt a block by Reid Duke, and it's just a chump block. He's not going to sacrifice his 5/5, and it's not going to untap next turn. Ben Stark follows up with another Simic Flux Mage. He's going to get 2 counters on that as well right off the bat, and he is in a commanding position here over Reid Duke, whose Primordial does not get to untap. Let's see what Reid draws. He's got Stolen Identity, Way of the Thief, Island, and Immortus Strider.
You know, I'm actually a little bit surprised that he did not sacrifice the Primordial there to give the Corpse Blockade Death Touch. Like, it's sort of counterintuitive, but you would 2 for 2 there because you'd get rid of the Hands of Binding. And, I mean, the Primordial is not going to do anything this game anyway.
It's down for the count. Now, Reid is forced to play out his Mortis Strider, and he puts Way of the Thief on it just to pump up its power, so it's maybe a little better in combat. But as things sit, Ben's got a Forest in hand, and he is in a great position. His other card is, wow, an adaptive Snapjaw.
Exactly what you want right here.
Fantastic. It's a 6/2 with Evolve. It's a solid creature to top off your curve in the Simic archetype, and you can see why right now as he goes through and evolves all of his creatures that have Evolve.
And I mean, and again, like, his deck is just playing out exactly like you want this kind of deck to play out. I mean, just so much size on the board. Reid is playing, you know, normally Mortis Strider a fine chump blocker, but you don't want to be using Way of the Thief defensively.
That's right.
Just to have enough size to do something meaningful.
And it didn't even have that here. Like, he just chump blocked and he just lost it. He does get his Mortis Strider back, but this was probably going to be the last draw step. It's going to have to be something amazing for Reid Duke, and I don't think there's anything in the format that gets him out of this. You know, there's Merciless Eviction, but that costs black and white. He'd need to have a white source as well, and he doesn't. He's got Stolen Identity, 2 lands, and the Mortis Strider. He's making sure that he's actually dead on board because his Diluvian Primordial is untapped, but I would expect a
he could make 2 more Diluvian Primordials in theory, but that isn't good enough right now. And that's not often that you see that. I mean, how many times do you see yourself untapped with 8 mana with a Diluvian Primordial on the board, Stolen Identity in your hand, and you just have no outs? You know, if Ben's graveyard was even slightly different, he could cast like 3 removal spells this turn just off his Primordial copies. But that's not the way it is right now.
Couple updates from the back tables. Matt Nass is up a game over John Finkel, and Ben Sek is up a game over Luis Scott Vargas. We're going to be bouncing around a bit, but right now we're going to stick with our main one. He's going to play Stolen Identity on the Master Biomancer. He will have enough mana to follow up if he'd like. It looks like he's going to attack. Is he going to make another one?
He's going to make a
Diluvian Primordial.
And that's going to be a 7/7 flyer.
Are there any more dice available?
Asking if there's some more dice from Reid. Complicated board state going on for sure.
Is there some? Can he get? Is there a Hands of Binding? Is there something that he can get?
Hands of Binding exiled. Hysterically, like just everything that Ben cast is just a huge blowout against Primordial.
So he did in fact target the thing just to exile it, but he couldn't actually cast it because it has X in its mana cost. It's going to be a freshly drawn Metropolis Sprite for Ben Stark. He is going to play it. He says it doesn't evolve anything, but I'm going to attack with everything.
Yeah, and
he does that, and that's the game. 1 goes to Ben Stark.
I mean,
all right, we've got some more updates from the back tables. Shota is up a game over Vincent Lemois. So we're going to stay at the main table here for now, but we're going to be keeping you guys updated as well as we can on the side tables. So yeah, this is exciting stuff, Zach. This hand viewer is pretty awesome. It gives another dimension to the coverage, so that we can keep up a little better on because we do the best we can with actually visualizing the cards as they come off. But sometimes it's hard to form a picture of exactly what the player's going through when you're sitting at home.
Well, yeah,
and this is going to help aid us. Can't wait to try out the new standard and booster draft strategies straight from the Pro Tour. Log on to Magic Online and take part in special standard spotlight events, standard 2-man gold queues, and Gatecrash limited tournaments all weekend. For more information, visit mtgonline.com.
But yeah, the thing to me about the hand viewer, Marshall, that's so valuable is like so much about Magic. You know, previously in coverage, we've really only been able to show exactly what's happening at a given moment. But when you're trying to play competitive Magic, what's in your hand sculpts the way the entire game is going to play out. And you need to be thinking about the 5th turn on your 1st turn. And there's no way to see that if you can't see what the players have in their hand and are thinking about. So I feel like, to me, it just opens up this entire new dimension for being able to put all of the players' decisions into context.
All right, well, we talk a little bit about a key card that we've seen in this match here.
Right.
We saw Master Biomancer as a 4-mana creature. You can see it on the screen here. Just take over that game in the middle part of the game.
Yeah. And, you know, normally a 4-mana 2/4 not going to be a limited bomb, but the fact is, like, 2+1/+1 counters is just absolutely devastating. That means every single creature in your deck has the potential to be the biggest creature on the board.
Yeah, so, you know, one of the things that's really interesting about Master Biomancer specifically is that the creature enters the battlefield with the +1/+1 counters on it already, and that can actually trigger the evolved creatures that you cast before Master Biomancer was down.
Right, a lot of the time this effect would be templated as when it enters the battlefield, comma, put counters on it, but because it doesn't work that way, because it just has them the second it hits the battlefield, it can trigger all the rest of your evolved creatures, which makes the rest of your deck better too. So Biomancer really kind of the linchpin for the exact type of deck that Ben Stark drafted.
Yeah, and for those of you that missed the actual draft portion, Zach and I commented it, and you know, and Ben kind of went into blue out of pack 1, picked up a bunch of solid Simic cards in pack 2, and you know, we were commenting earlier that he's really hopeful to open up a big Simic bomb. He didn't. Instead, he got past this card quite late. All right, looks like players are ready to go. Mulligans are resolved, and we are back down at the feature match area here. An island for Ben Stark leads things off. No Cloudfin Raptor, and
from either deck.
Yeah, from either deck, and it's a Metropolis Sprite on turn 2 for Reid Duke.
And we were talking about Metropolis Sprite, again, kind of an innocuous looking card, but really a very important card for both the Simic and Dimir decks, because the Dimir deck just wants a flyer, and the Simic deck wants stuff to do on turn 2, and if it puts counters on it, can really start attacking for a lot of damage.
All right, so we see that Reid Duke has attacked. He did pump his Metropolis Sprite to make it into a 2-power attacker, but Ben Stark had an answer on end step. He played a Shamble Shark and then played a Simic Flux Mage after that to evolve it, and he's going to attack for 3 and ship the turn right back to Reid Duke. So what can Reid come up with to combat this? Well, he's got a few things already in his hand. As we can see, he's got the Diluvian Primordial, he's got the Gift of Orzhova, once again, another island. And he's got a Mortis Strider as well. So he's going to have some answers here.
Do you have any idea what the white in Reid's deck is for?
I have not. I don't know yet.
He attacks for 1, not 2, with the Metropolis Sprite and plays a Crypt Ghast. Now, only 1 swamp on the battlefield, but you still can't argue with a 2/2 Extort that accelerates your mana.
Yeah, Crypt Ghast is very powerful, even though it kind of doesn't appear that way at first glance. Maybe that was just me. It is really strong.
All right, we see from Ben, we've got a 2/4. Again, like not normally a big offensive powerhouse, but he's able to evolve for 2. And taking Reid now down to 11 life, I think.
Yeah, interestingly, it's not the 2/4 that he wanted.
No, yeah. It's no Master Biomancer.
It is not, but it'll do. All right, so this is interesting from Reid's side. If he can hit another swamp, he'll have enough mana to cast that Diluvian Primordial right away.
Right.
And, you know, even if he might not want to do it quite right away, but it's certainly in his it's within range for him at this point already, even though it's actually a 7-mana spell.
Well, yeah, and I mean, again, like, okay, maybe you're not getting anything out of the graveyard. You still have 5/5 flyer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can't be too upset when you've untapped with Crypt Ghast. I mean, your opponent has a lot of power on the board, though, but, I mean, you can dump, you know, multiple cards a turn at this point. The Death's Approach in Reid's hand, kind of awkward right now.
4 mana.
There's a Spell Rupture in his hand
Gift of Orzhova
that he could
and
try to
Extort.
get some value out of, but he's going
16,
to
12.
play Gift of Orzhova, and he said he's going to
Attack you. Bump this up.
So it's 5.
extort.
Yeah, so
I don't think he.
11, 15.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he's got an extra mana floating, and so he did extort, and he did pump up the Metropolis Sprite as well. So he is going into aggressive mode, at least as much as his deck can.
Well, I think we're seeing a good old-fashioned race here, Marshall. You know,
I
we've got
think so,
lifelink
too.
and extort, you know, draining, keeping Reid's life total all the way back up to 15 right now. But I think that
Killing
was
Glare
devastating.
is
Killing
going to
Glare.
be the full 2-for-1, which is really the nightmare when you're on Reid Duke's side of the table, as he just got two cards taken out of off the table for the cost of only one for
exactly, and just losing access to his Crypt Ghast means that he can't cast his Primordial this turn, even if he does draw an extra land. And he really needs that mana to come back right now, all the way down to 7 life. And a Mortis Strider, just not what you want to be doing at this phase of the game.
No, you want to have board control besides the Mortis Strider, and right now, Ben Stark looking to be in prime position to deliver the beatdowns. He's drawn a Metropolis Sprite, but he's got one of the key cards with a Hands of Binding in his hand.
Well, and really not as though he doesn't need a lot more right here. But, you know, I mean, this match has really been all about Ben Stark.
All right, so a couple updates from the back tables. Shota and Vincent Lemoine, they are tied at 1-1, and Ben Sek has defeated Luis Scott Vargas.
So Reid trying to put something together now, but yeah, all I can really do is muster a chump block.
Ben Stark looking to be in the driver's seat here. He's attacking with everything.
Yep. So you get a 4.
And gets 3 more damage through putting Reid down to 4.
And it is going to be a Death Cult Rogue to
Counter
follow up.
1.
But it's going to get countered. Ben got a little ahead of himself and started doing some evolving, but that Spell Rupture says no, sir, leaving Reid Duke with just Diluvian Primordial and Death's Approach left in his hand.
Merely Diluvian Primordial and Death's Approach.
Yes. Now he's drawn that Mortis Strider, or he has a
Your
Mortis
turn.
Strider back that got bounced, so he's going to replay it. And pass the turn. Now there's a Cloudfin Raptor. It shows a little bit of the downside of the Raptor. It's great on turn 1. It's certainly less exciting here in the late game. But even then, it looks like he's going to be able to get a couple of evolves. That is, if Reid is even alive.
Yeah, exactly. And, oh, all right.
He's going to play the Nimbus Swimmer for 1?
I believe 3.
Oh, yeah, he tapped out. Sorry. Yep, for 3, that is going to get an evolve trigger on the Simic Flux Mage, and he is attacking with
Did
everything.
he remember to evolve his creatures?
He did for sure the Flux Mage, and I don't think it does
I guess
evolve
he can't.
the.
Yeah,
it doesn't evolve the Shamble Shark. It's already got 3 power.
That is a big fish crab, or whatever.
3 toughness, I mean. Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so 2 chump blocks.
Let's go.
One of them's going to come back to his hand. Now he can hit the Primordial here, but again, it's the Killing Glare in Ben Stark's graveyard. So,
All right, good games.
and
All right.
we see a friendly handshake to end the match. So it looks like Ben Stark is going to improve to 1-0 here at Pro Tour Gatecrash.
Yeah, and yeah.
All right, so it looks like we're going to take a move over to one of the side tables here
Yeah,
to
good
try
luck
to
with the
get
Thanks.
you a little bit more action from round 1 here from Pro Tour Gatecrash. Get a look at the feature match area. You see BDM up there chatting with Ben Sek, who just defeated Luis Scott Vargas. That's got to feel good.
Yeah, and not the round 1 opponent you want to sit down across from.
Not at all. And to sneak by him has got to feel good. You get a look at John Finkel on the left, and it's Matt Nass is up a game in this match.
Really?
He's on the right side there with his arms folded.
Kind of the look of intense concentration.
Good.
Yeah.
We see Finkel look around like, whoa, there's cameras.
Whoa, what's going on around me?
And yet his face changed nothing.
No, of course, he's used to this by now. Nass has the board flooded with creatures, it looks like, right
He
now.
does indeed. He's got a Grizzly Spectacle in his hand and a card that I can't quite see.
He's got a Death Cult Rogue, so he can get some damage through.
And we're told, yeah, that John Finkel is sitting at a mere 4 life, where Matt Nass is on 7, up a game here as well.
This might be a quick match, as many matches in this format sometimes turn out to be.
That's true.
He's got a Grizzly Spectacle, I believe. He's taking out that Krakenmara. And this is going to pave the way for what I have to assume is going to be a lethal attack from Matt.
Can I get both for Tim? Yeah.
Yep, milling a couple cards. So, I mean, John's got an Ember Beast, but he does have another creature to go with it. Still not really where he wants to be right now.
Placing all the clans.
He's assembling the clans.
So he's going to search his library. Yeah, this is a this one's a little not one I thought.
Okay, he looks through his deck, sees if he has anything, and
okay.
That's over. Yeah.
All right, so it looks like Matt Nass has defeated John Finkel 2-0 here in game 1.
I mean, as we're seeing, I mean, these games, you know, they're very aggressive format.
Yes.
Very easy to just sort of assemble a ridiculously powerful team. And we saw with Ben Stark's deck, I mean, Reid, you know, no slouch as a player. His deck seemed very good at a lot of powerful cards. But what do you do against a 4/3 creature attacking you on the 4th turn of the game with a lot of support? You know, it's not like he had to give up anything to be able to do that.
That's right. Now, we do still have one more match going in the feature match here. I think we're going to try to get over there right now. It's Shota Yasuoka, and he is tied with Vincent Lemoine at 1 game apiece.
Oh, yeah?
And they're in the early stages, it looks like. Maybe the mid stages here of game 3. I know the life totals, I believe, are 17 for Shota and 22 for Lemoine, so they're still kind of jockeying for position here. Yeah, we'll get our overhead cam on that, and there it is. It looks like...
That's an Executioner's Swing.
Yep, Executioner's Swing is going to take out a Basilica Screecher.
My favorite card in the format, I think.
You do love that. And there's also a Daring Skyjack on the table for Shota. On Vincent's side, he's got, it looks like a full suite of Extort regulars here with Basilica, Guard, and 1,000 Lashes is going to come down to.
That I think is my favorite uncommon in the entire format.
I love that card.
Pretty hysterical, the amount of draining that is going on right now.
That's right, and we've also seen 2 removal spells used on 2 Basilica creatures, so there you go. You win that battle.
That's a terrifying card.
Yep, and there's a Dutiful Thrill that's going to get in because he can just regenerate it, so it's not going to get blocked, and it's going to be a Death Cult Rogue that is going to have 2 Evolve triggers paid for as well. So
you mean Extort triggers?
Excuse me, Extort triggers, and that's going to bump Vincent up to 25, and it's going to drop Shota down to 12. He's got a bunch of cards in hand here, though.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he has multiple smites. He got a Guardian of the Guildless.
Gateless, yeah.
Gateless.
Now that's a powerful card.
Yeah.
It's going to halt a lot of the attacking, but Death Cult Rogue can still get.
Yeah,
through.
not going to halt the Death Cult Rogue for sure. The smite's very, very awkward against Death Cult Rogue as well. Kind of needs a Balustrade Spy, kind of perfectly positioned against Death Cult Rogue, but doesn't have one right now. You know, playing limited this early has got to, on one end for Yasuoka, I mean, obviously one of the best constructed players in the world.
Absolutely.
Having the limited early, I think, might actually be good for him because it's not an opportunity for, like, the wheels to come off. You know, and you just get to, like, build yourself out to a solid 2-1 or something and finish strong.
All right,
in the
so
rounds.
Shota attacked with his Guardian of the Gateless, but there was a Grizzly Spectacle in hand for Vincent, so he kills it. He gets to mill 3 cards thanks to...
And gets to extort, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like Vincent is pressing his advantage here. It's going to be a Kingpin's Pet for Shota.
It's kind of a weird game because, like, Shota's been doing stuff every turn, like doing really good stuff.
But he feels very behind.
Yeah, it just seems super behind. Like, really awkward to have a 1,000 Lashes on a 1/2 flyer with Extort. Like, you really want to be killing that guy.
That's right.
And then Kingpin's Pen.
Now we're going to see a Kingpin's Pen, and that's actually going to set up lethal next turn for Vincent. And let's see. what it is. That's another 1,000 lashes for Shota. He is just grinding him down, but he isn't getting anywhere thanks to all the extort triggers on Vincent's side.
Right, like how is Vincent at 26 life right now?
No kidding.
It just does not make any sense. There's like, I mean, it does make sense, but it's not something that you're used to seeing all the time.
This is funny because we're kind of seeing basically two Orzhov-style decks going at it, but it looks like Lemoine's is...
of course, Angel and Jubilation to top everything off.
A Skirmisher? Angelic Skirmisher? What was it?
Angel
of Jubilation
is
in
format.
Avacyn Restored.
I was going to say, I knew, I think it's
it would be fantastic here, though.
I assume it's some sort of bomb, Angel. It's not going to be bad.
It will not. It says it's probably a Skirmisher.
Yeah, it's got to be one.
It is, in fact, Angelic Skirmisher.
I would like to give my creatures lifelink.
Now, yeah, this is going to give them, either lifelink, he can give them first strike, he can give them vigilance, he can do whatever he wants. He's going to block and smite.
That's and of course
because he does only have one thing that can really attack here, which is kind of hilarious.
You see Yasuoka with another smite actually. So if he battles with the Angel of Jubilation, he can deal with that too by just keeping his Kingpin's pet back. Yasuoka doing a good job of staying alive.
Yeah, the Skirmisher is definitely being threatened currently. Now the problem that Shota has is he could just get extorted out of this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, even if he manages to kill the Skirmisher here, which it looks like he will, he's got other problems to deal with. All right, Devour Flesh is in hand for Lemoine, and he can use it fairly effectively. I guess the Daring Skyjack would bite it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it does something. I mean, it's not really at its best right now. But, I mean, he's probably going to cast it just to get some extort triggers, if nothing else.
I mean, even if the spell did nothing at this point, like on the card, just casting the spell is a big game.
Although I will say another use for it could be to actually target himself and get rid of some of the creatures with 1,000 lashes.
Oh, that's a good point. And I mean, he could even pad that life total further, although doesn't need it at the moment. All right, so the Skirmisher comes in, and as predicted, it gets...
Smitten.
Smitten, yeah.
Smote, yes.
And it's gone, and it looks like Shota has also paid the extort from his Kingpin's pet. He draws a Plains.
So Yasuoka quietly coming back into this game now with the 1,000 lashes neutralizing Lemoine's offense, and Kingpin's pet kind of,
hits paddling.
doing what it does.
Take a look at 1,000 lashes there. Really great card. Oh, love that card. That's my kind of uncommon right there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
upgraded
Pillory
like
of the Speed, upgraded Pillory of the Sleepless.
That's right.
And so both players kind of out of gas in their hands right now. The game's really just kind of all about Yasuoka's Kingpin's pet, but he's got a long way to go, clawing himself up from 6 life against Lemoine's 21. Wow! Pretty good top deck. It's a double extort, put more extort on the battlefield.
Wow. Yeah, so he is
paying a life. Okay,
and he's going to make Shota exile the last card in his hands, which happened to be a Plains.
A lot of the times you can be disappointed by the fact that, my opponent just exiled a land, but you can't be too disappointed because that means your opponent doesn't have a lot.
That's right.
What I'm saying?
Hi, Betty.
The extorting continuing to commence.
All right, both players are now in top deck mode here.
Kind of exciting being in top. Wow.
Jeez, High Priest of Penance now, but more importantly,
just 3 extort triggers.
Yeah, he's just going to pass the turn back.
So go down to 2.
He's 1 spell away from extorting his opponent out of this match.
No spell. No spell.
And a High Priest of Penance doing a pretty good.
Did you hear Vincent? He's like, give me a spell. Give me a spell. He's not even in a position to attack, and he just doesn't need to.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, he draws his card for the turn. I didn't get a look at it. He put it down really quickly.
Is he doing the dramatic slow roll?
No, it doesn't look like he is. He's thinking about sending in the High Priest. It doesn't have extort, and it trades for anything.
Yeah, kind of doing a bad Invisible Stalker impression right now. But I mean, he's certainly not going to argue trading it for the Kingpin's pet.
Right. And it looks like Shota's considering blocking with his Skyjack. He would actually get both then.
I can actually see just blocking and sacking to your corpse, your wall of corpses before damage.
Just so it doesn't get that.
Just so that he doesn't get to kill your Kingpin's pet. That's the only card that's kind of keeping you in the game right now.
That's right. And even then, he's barely in this game.
I mean, keeping in the game, I'm using very liberally right now.
I mean, we're talking...
Yeah,
Shota needs
exactly
merciless eviction or something, right?
Yeah, right.
He needs
We're wondering what
swingy
Shota's drawing to right now.
Yeah, that's certainly one of them, and he has the mana for it. He didn't draw it, though. He's got a blue spell. I couldn't see it.
Yeah. Unsure. It looks like Yasuoka has a lot of gates, so we may... I mean, is this... It doesn't look like a straight-up Esper deck, but it could be, just looking at his mana base. Thinking right now. Now, what is that?
What is that? It's Void Walk.
Void Walk? What? Yasuoka always goes deep, man. All right, getting the High Priest out, I guess. Extorting twice. So he's going to get to extort 4 times.
He will get all of the extorts here. He's got the colored mana to do it. He's going to attack. And this actually does give him a cushion where it's not to the point of any spell off the top.
Right.
Gets that for him. And remember, Shota is still grinding away with that one.
With the 1,000 lashes.
1,000 lashes that's left as well. So that was actually a key. It's interesting because that's not a card that I didn't think he would have that. And, but the key is that it's got Cypher. Anything with Cypher there is actually pretty sweet.
Really, really good.
Yeah, now Shota can actually just take the hit from the High Priest.
And all of a sudden, this is a close game of Magic.
We have a game here, kids. This is a little different. Oh, no.
What is that?
That is a 1,000 lashes.
Yes. This is the goofiest game.
This is a crazy game. They've only attacked for like 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the life totals. And Vincent, when we came in, he was at like 27. So,
Marshall, did you think when you sat down to cover this match, we'd be talking about like Void Walk?
Void Walk off the top. Yeah, keep him alive.
As far as I can tell, Yasuoka is splashing the Void Walk too.
That's crazy.
Shota Yasuoka understands a game of Magic like very few other people on
very
Earth.
deep. Yeah, it's just, I never understand what he's doing, and then when I see him play, I'm like, okay. I guess you convinced me. All right, so what does Yasuoka draw here?
I don't know.
He put it back down on the table. He's got it in his hand. He is looking to pay some mana here. It is a Plains.
It is a Plains. So, and right now he's got to be mind gaming. That's the only thing that really makes a lot of sense here. The 1,000 lashes on the Kingpin's pet with Void Walk is just totally devastating.
It's a complete beating, and it looks like Vincent is going to be able to win this game. The thing is that Shota can block and get rid of.
Oh,
He's got options here, but basically, as long as he's just going to extend his hand because the key is that 1,000 lashes.
Nice.
It's going to kill him.
Is there a reason he doesn't just sacrifice his guy to the wall?
Off the side. He will. Yeah, you have to.
I don't know. Yeah, hard to
main.
say.
Yes.
But I mean, he's not in a good position even if he manages to do that.
That's right.
I have one.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the booth. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe, and this is Zach Hill. And that was interesting. That's a completely different style and brand of Magic than we're used to seeing in Limited, where it's like, cast some creatures, attack you, I've got removal, I've got a trick, I've got a bomb or something. This was just like, hit you for 1, and you took 4 damage this turn, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. right. I extorted 4 times in a single turn. I mean, the first couple of games we saw, John's game of the game between Ben and Reid, really traditional Magic, flooding the board with creatures, getting ahead on the battlefield.
Yeah.
But that is not at all what we saw from sort of the Orzhov mirror.
Right.
Or I guess the Esper versus Orzhov. Just a very different style of Magic. And that's one of the things I like about this format.
I love that.
Is that each of the guilds really does have its own distinct feel.
It really does. And I think I'm sure that you guys were paying close attention to that while the set was being developed and designed. But I got to say, it really has come through. I like the fact that when you sit down to draft, whatever your personality is, you can actually draft a deck that is along the lines of the decks that you normally like to play.
Exactly.
Like maybe even in Constructed. I'm an aggro player. Well, some draft formats don't have a great aggressive deck. It's
Right.
just the case, right?
Or
And-
the aggressive decks, like you have to get kind of lucky, or like you're playing like some Coral Merfolk variants, right? And
Right.
you're just
You
kind of
have
like
to kind
this
of
disappointing.
jam it. Yeah, well, that's not the case.
No.
If you want to be the Boros
not
guy,
at all.
you can beat heads. You just keep
Right.
battling in there. And, people like BDM love Simic,
Oh,
right? Because
yes,
it's
of
powerful,
course.
but it's also tricky, right?
Right.
It's not as straightforward like Gruul, for example, where you're just like, here's big stuff and make them bigger.
You see, like Ben, get one in a very clear fashion deck with like 3 Simic Flux Mages in his deck, which is like one of the trickiest cards you can print.
Yeah.
I'm moving counters around at instant speed and then getting more counters, and like that's the type of gameplay that type of player likes. And the fact that it's actually powerful, to me, is a really satisfying experience because like you don't have to be like, okay, well I could be doing all this cool stuff, but instead I'm just going to cast a 4/3 for 4.
Now,
or
I want to
whatever.
ask you, what did you think about Reid Duke's deck?
I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of deck I draft. I don't like having to play like Mortis Strider and stuff like that. But he's got a good top end. He has some removal spells, but I think just Ben came out of the gates a little bit too fast for him. And Reid definitely could afford some more early drops. I think. I don't think he had quite not just the early defense, but kind of a way to like put his opponent on the back foot a little bit. But Ben's draws were obviously extremely good, and Ben played around the counter spell that Reid could have answered the Master Biomancer with.
That's right. And, I thought it was kind of interesting, too, that it was kind of unlucky in some ways for Reid because these little tiny interactions, like he has a clone and the best creature on the battlefield
Exactly.
is an X cost creature.
Exactly.
Like, that's not common. And he's got his huge, big finishing bomb, the 5/5 flying Primordial. And the only normally you want to hit a removal spell with it. It can only hit one that costs X, and you can't pay that when you get that back. So it's one of those things where it's just like these little edges also popped up that could have changed the game significantly.
Well, I guess Ben won in a pretty convincing fashion, but I think a lot of it's exactly like you're saying, was due not just to Reid's deck underperforming, but to the specific card interactions really kind of blowing him out. But I mean, that's the type of thing that makes Magic such a rich
That's
game.
why it's awesome. Yeah. And, and frankly, I mean, normally Diluvian Primordial will hit some pretty sweet stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get some awesome removal spell or something that affects the game
Grizzly
in a big
Spectacle
way.
or something like that.
Right. That's kind of the dream, I think, for the most part. But I mean, maybe Urban Evolution.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm dreaming.
I was going to say, which one of us is dreaming right now? Oh, your removal spell is fine. I just am going to go for the modest play of drawing 3 cards and playing out my hand.
Yeah,
That's,
just
very
play
conservative.
after playing a 5/5 flyer. All right, maybe I was dreaming a little bit, but I did like a lot of the aspects of Reid's deck, and I could see it being good. But I got to say, if he couldn't handle kind of a baseline Simic. Now, with the Master Biomancer, that changes that.
Yeah,
that turns it into an explosive Simic.
Exactly.
But, without that, it's like, he's casting some guys. He's making some of them bigger. He's attacking. You'd hope to be able to handle that type of situation.
I mean, the other thing that we can't overlook, though, is the Gift of Orjava. I mean, both times Ben was able to neutralize that. But, I mean, a Boros deck is just going to have a lot harder time dealing with getting drained for 3 every turn. One time Ben had his splashed Killing Glare, which was like his only way in the entire deck to kill the creature with Gift on it. And then the second time he had Hands of Binding, which is able to neutralize it, which is just an utter devastating play.
It was a total beating. I mean, those are the things that we fear as limited players, right? The big 2 for 1. All right. Speaking of 2, there are 2 gentlemen waiting for us in the at the news desk.
Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Zach. And so we're going to send it over to the news desk right now. After that, we'll be back here with round 2 here from Pro Tour Gatecrash.
All right, so here we are back in the news desk. Rich and Brian David Marshall. Now, Brian, during that round, you had a chance to talk with Ben Stark. We watched him draft, so let's find out what's been going on with Ben.
I had a chance to talk to him, and I talked to a couple of other people about how their drafts went.
Okay.
And basically what people said was what's really important about this draft is you can take any card you want first pick. You can be like, oh, here's this card, I'll take a chance on it, right? It doesn't matter. What's really important are the cards coming from your right. What cards are you being passed? What gold cards are you being passed most specifically? And if you watch Ben S.'s draft, he first pick to Smite. He said weak pack, but I could take it. I really want to be Orzhov. That's the guild I want to be. I do really well with it. Second pick's a Killing Glare. Again, he feels like, okay, I've got 2 removal spells. I'm in the right place. And then comes the third pick. And there's again, he's like kind of like, oh, it's an okay pack. There's a Drake Wayne Crassus in there.
All right.
And he's like, man, this is a pretty strong signal. This is a premium common in Simic. I want this card, right? Like if I'm Simic, I want this card. He doesn't take it. He takes, I think it was Urbis Protector. Could have been Angelic Skirmisher, whatever it was. It was a big white
6
creature,
drop. Yeah.
6 drop. He's like, not a card I even love, right?
Okay.
But I was white-black. I stuck to my guns. Fourth pick comes. There's a Frilled Oculus, and there's a Death Cult Rogue. Okay? Death Cult Rogue's fine. It's okay in Orzhov. It could be that he's like, I should have taken the Frilled Oculus. So what's fascinating to me about that is then he just slams Simic for the rest of the pack. Right? He just gets past the cards. He realizes it's open. But now here's the problem. Deeper into the pack, to his left, he's now shipped a Frilled Oculus and a Drakewing Crassus.
You know what that signals?
Right, and so he signaled somebody over here into Simic with late picks. And what that means is, if he's the only Simic drafter, which he feels like he could have been potentially, with the way those packs were going, then he just has an unbelievable bounty of riches in the second and third pack.
Right.
It's an okay second pack. It's a pretty good third pack, but if he's like, well, I kind of have to splash. I'm not. He's like, my deck's very good. I have some powerful cards, but he's like, in classic Ben S fashion, kicking himself over very, very specific choices that he made, and he was like conscious that he was taking a card for this reason, but he's like in the back of his head, screaming like, idiot, take the Drakewing Crassus, what are you doing? And then as soon as he's done, he's like, ugh, I knew it.
All right. That's Ben Stark. We know he won. Let's take a look at our pod scoreboard following 2 pods through these first 3 rounds. Let's see what results are already in. So on the left, 8 names: Patrick Chapin, Reid Duke, Leonard Lindemann, Nordahl, Ruel Stark, Ravensvaj, and Vidigiris. So we know that Ben Stark won 2-0 over Reid Duke. What else do we have there? Well, you see Olivier Ruel there, the French Hall of Famer. He is 0-1. Who beat him? None other than Don van Ravensvaj of the Netherlands, the Melbourne PTQ winner here in his first Pro Tour. Congratulations to him. And while we're at it, Brian, Leonard Lindemann, he's a winner as well, defeating Andreas Nordahl 2-0 in his first ever Pro Tour match. Great job.
Yeah, great job. Welcome to the Pro Tour, kids. I hope you can beat a Hall of Famer and a Team World's runner-up. Oh, you can?
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
Yeah, quite. Now, then we had a big match, which was Patrick Chapin against Galdenis Vidigiris. That went long, but ultimately it was the third game that went to the Lithuanian Galdenis Vidigiris, finalist from Pro Tour Avacyn Restored last year, against the Hall of Famer Patrick Chapin. As we see, the rest of those, the full set there on your left, all done. What about the right of screen? Well, in that pod, you had Shi Bin. He played Paulo Vida Dama da Rosa of Brazil, and he beat the new Hall of Famer from Brazil by 2-0. Shi Bin off to a winning start. Then you had Tomek Pedrakovsky. He placed against Sam Williams. Pedrakovsky off to a winning start, just as he was a year ago in Avacyn Restored when he went 8-0 on day 1. We had Ben Sek 1-0 over Luis Scott Vargas. And Brian, I know we had a chance to sort of have a little chat with Luis. Not in a happy place.
Yeah, he's not really in love with his deck, and he now has, maybe you're looking to, get that win. You get it started off. He's 0-1, and he knows what he's up against. He really needs a good finish.
Also on our scoreboard, you saw Mario Burgos was still at 0-0. I've just got that result in through the ticker tape. He defeats Ken Yukihiro by 2-1. So well done to the Argentinian.
Wow,
good kind job. Of round for the underdogs in round 1.
Paulo down, Luis down.
Yep.
We saw John Finkel losing to Matt Nass.
That's right.
In the feature match area.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to be back in about 5 minutes, but we've prepared over the last few weeks a series of little documentary clips about Gatecrash. We went to Seattle, going inside R&D. You'll have seen these before at RTR the last couple of Pro Tours. We've done it again, really lifting the lid on the 5 guilds. So here's first of all a little introduction for you. Wizards of the Coast, 5 guilds took the spotlight and much of the power as we returned to Ravnica. Now it's time once again for us to twist and turn our way through the highways and byways of Magic's most famous city. 5 more guilds await inside R&D Gatecrash.
Well, so as you know, if you're anybody, if you haven't been living under a rock, Ravnica is our city-covered plain. It's a place where these 10 guilds, each with 2 colors of mana, vie for power and control over this endless city. In Return to Ravnica, we showed you 5 of those 10 guilds, and now we're going to show you the other 5 in Gatecrash. It's called Gatecrash because we want you to see some significance in the word gate.
So once we knew the way the guilds were breaking across the 2 sets, it kind of lent itself to a particular story across the 2. So the Izzet were very involved in the first set. They are setting up a mystery of sorts. They're investigating. They have a grand experiment to look across all of Ravnica and discover these clues that's leading to something. When we pick up in Gatecrash, there's that activity that the Izzet have started to set up has raised tensions. The other guilds are suspicious. There's no guild pact anymore to govern the guilds and keep them off each other's throats. The Dimir are working behind the scenes as the Izzet are trying to discover all these secrets. And the more the Izzet discover, the more of an opportunity it is for the Dimir to swoop in, let the nice, mad geniuses do all the work, swoop in the last minute, seize whatever it is they've been researching, and use it for their own benefit.
When we first decided we were going to go back to Ravnica, we wanted to do things a little differently than before. So one of the ideas we had thought about doing was having all the sets come back, all the guilds come back in the last set. But in order to do that, we needed to put all 10 guilds in the first 2 sets. And how are we going to do that? So we tried 6 and 4, and none of it worked. And so I suggested, I said, well, I know a way we could just make both sets large, and that way we could do 5 and 5. Now, we'd never done a large set in the winter before, but hey, if ever we're going to do it, how about Return to Ravnica?
Previously, I had been the lead designer of Mirrodin Besieged, and I was brought in to be, at first, just a team member of Gatecrash. And then a plan was devised that midway through, Mark Rosewater would hand off the lead design of Gatecrash to me. He would remain on the team, I would become the team leader, and he would start lead design of the next set down the line. So this was a great opportunity for me. I was very excited. I was already happy to be on the team. And I mean, I loved the original Ravnica block and was a holdover from them because from then I'm kind of an old timer. So I had already been on the development team of the original Ravnica and the design team of the original of Dissension, which was my first development team and my first design team.
When I came in to Gatecrash development, it was very interesting because Return to Ravnica had already entered the Future League when I joined Wizards. So all the guilds had already been set up completely. So when I came in, I just had this model to work with. I didn't help create it, I was just dropped into it. Here's the 5 guilds you're going to be working with. But it was very interesting how they'd set it up, right? Because we have some aggressive guilds. We've got Boros, we've got Gruul, we've got some more controlling guilds in Dimir and Orzhov. And Simic is kind of, it can be both a mana ramp strategy, it can be an aggressive strategy, all kinds of cool stuff going on there. And to model these in a totally new light from the Return to Ravnica guilds was interesting and a challenge because I didn't know exactly how the Return to Ravnica stuff had been designed. So I had to kind of look at this from a whole new light, which really created a good perspective for me, I think, because I was able to look at what was happening with Return to Ravnica as it was happening in the Future League and model it for Gatecrash.
Working on Gatecrash design was a lot of fun for a lot of different reasons. One of the reasons it was very fun was that I got to help structure both sets kind of at the same time. There were a lot of ways Gatecrash spoke to Ravnica, and there were a lot of ways that Ravnica speaks to Gatecrash. And it was a lot of fun just figuring out what the cycles were going to be, the 2-color charms, influencing what all the guild mechanics were going to be, even which guilds were in which set was a back and forth. And I'm very happy with the way Gatecrash ended up.
Hi there, welcome back. I had not seen that artwork in quite the same way. When you see it in huge,
I
it's
gotta
like
I gotta
that
tell
pyramid
you,
thing.
Sitting here, we have a monitor over there that you know we're looking at when we're off camera. Ideally, looking at it when we're off camera, and it has these huge high-res images of the artwork from this set. And
if you don't have a 60-inch plasma TV, now's the time to go.
I highly
and get one.
recommend flipping through Gatherer on that. You know, so many cards that the artist totally lost. Gridlock, you know, Cartel Aristocrat. The art is just stunning, and so just like the gutters are running thick with flavor.
Fair.
You know.
Now, I know that in another life, you're very involved in the world of comics. I know you love your comic books through the years, and I wouldn't claim to be an expert on that kind of thing at all, but I do recognize talent when I see it. And I hope some of you at home have had the chance to look at gatheringmagic.com and a guy who's called That Guy James. Now, That Guy James by day is a graphic artist for comic books and so on and graphic novels, but by night, he's a Magic fan. And he has started doing these infographics. Now, you can go and look at it at the website, or we've got them for you now. So, let's take you through the Pro Tour Gatecrash infographic from That Guy James and Gathering Magic. Here they are, numbers, notes, and nonsense. He says, well, there's not a lot of nonsense, there's a lot of sense in this. So let's get to it. And now, Pro Tour 88, pretty big American football fan, or just football.
I was just going to say, you love yourself a Super Bowl, don't you?
I do. So I think from now on I will refer to this as Pro Tour LXXXV111. It's the way forward. 88. How many have you been to? Most? Must be most.
It's. I mean, certainly well in excess of 2/3 of them.
Yeah.
You know, probably 3/4.
All right. And our next slide. Let's take a look. It's going to bring you to, I believe, the very first one. The first Pro Tour was this same weekend in your home city, New York City, 1996. What do you remember about that?
I remember a couple things. I remember that you could qualify by calling up on the phone. Right? The way you qualified was lines are going to open soon. Dial in and get an invite to the first Pro Tour, or to the it was called the Black Lotus something or other. I don't even remember.
Invitation event or some such.
It was you know, it was a big deal. I actually worked at that first event as a judge.
Oh wow!
In the junior Super Series, or the junior division as they called it. It was snow. We got hit by a blizzard that week in New York. The city was blanketed in snow, and we did not know if people were going to get in. You know, people were flying in from all over the world. Such a ridiculous idea. No one had ever heard of such a thing. People coming here from Europe to play Magic?
Crazy.
Insane!
Yeah.
Right? And we didn't know if it was going to happen. Everything kind of fell into place. It went off without a hitch. And, you know, 88 Pro Tours later.
Let's move on. Where are we? We're in Montreal. This is the first Pro Tour to be hosted here in Montreal. One other Canadian Pro Tour, Worlds 2001. I lost a bet to Brian David Marshall. Who was the winner of that one? I was like, is that Carlos Ramal's? No, it isn't.
It's Tom Vanderlat, right? Machine Head?
Absolutely. Let's move on. And the Big Apple, we're back to your home city again. The most Pro Tour events, 7 Pro Tours and a Worlds. Now, you've got to all of those.
Which is, I've been to every New York Pro Tour for sure. That's 8.
Okay.
I even played in a couple of them.
Really?
I played in 2 of them.
Awesome. How'd you do?
I finished 13th at the Pro Tour New York 2001.
Good skills.
I won a Sony Trinitron TV, essentially.
Awesome. Great stuff. All right, let's move on to our next slide as we head down. Now, here's some numbers. When you're sitting at home, you think, what's the ideal number for a Pro Tour? The correct answer is ideally 1, me, and then I'd win. But as you see the years go by, Columbus, 136, 389 here in Montreal. That's not the number of players, but that's the number of people who invited. Now that 525, I know a lot of you think, why don't we have 500 player invites? Charleston, remember, in 2006 was a team event. That was 3 players per team. So it was only like 170 odd teams.
Right.
So that's why we have such a huge number. Let's move on. Oh, hello. That's a lot of information. What brings you here? I'm going to ask you this very simple, thoroughly complex question. There's Gold, Platinum, Grand Prix, MITGO, Pro Tour Hall of Fame, Return to Ravnica Top 25, PTQs, special invites and sponsors exemption. Which little yellow star on there holds the winner of this Pro Tour and why? Told you it was
I mean,
a simple question.
It's got to be the platinum level.
Right.
And these are the guys who,
Okay.
you know, if they get to within closing distance at the end of the event, they know how to do it. They've done it before, and those are the guys. I would say one of those 30 players will be the person who wins this event.
Okay, well, I'll take the 137th PTQ winner, who was the French Paris PTQ winner, gentleman by the name of Guillaume Waffa-Tapper.
Okay.
That's my PTQ.
Seems like a pretty reasonable pick.
Yeah, not your average PTQ winner. Next, where do we go? The reigning champs. Well, this was the top 8 last time around, and of course, utterly dominant Stanislav Sivka. He won his first round. So he's 19-1 since the start of the last Pro Tour.
So he keeps winning like this, he'll be able to buy a townhouse in Ravnica, right?
Yeah, well, why would he ever leave? Yeah. Next, what have we got? Living the Dream. So these are your Hall of Famers. Now, of course, all these are invited, but which of them are actually here? Well, you've got Paolo Vita, Dama de Rosa, Rob Doherty, John Finkel.
I saw Darwin Castle.
Sure, he's here. Of course, the sort of regular guys you'd expect, like Brian Kibler and Raf Levy, but we've also got some guys from the past.
Sure, a newly reinvigorated Zvi Moshowitz. Zvi played at Grand Prix Atlantic City, and you can always tell when Zvi gets the bug. You know, and he's had a doesn't have to play all the time anymore. You know, he's a Hall of Famer, but he is very excited about Magic right now. Gabriel Nassif, Olivier Ruel, we haven't seen him in years.
And Bram Snetvang is here. He was judging at Grand Prix London last week, but here playing. Let's move on. Pairings are going up. We're almost ready. Native Son, 54 countries there that held PTQs. Pretty much sure that you've got your own favorite there. It's like you'll be rooting for your fellow Bulgarians, your people from Hong Kong, the Hungarians, all around the world. The Philippines are here. And of course, Panama, the likes, people with maybe just 1 or 2 PTQs a year. Great to have you all here.
Reasonable guess that the people in France who played in those PTQs are really rooting for Guillaume this weekend, so he won't be back in their PTQs.
Okay, we're going to come away from this infographic. It was a very good year for Martin User. It's about to be a very good round 2, featuring Paolo Vita, Dama de Rosa at 0-1 against Louis Scott Vargas at 0-1. Dagger. No. Text coverage. Ben Friedman against Gregor Petric Maritic of Croatia. Conley Woods is against Vincent Lemoine, and Matteo Orsini Jones of England, one of your favourite players I know, Brian, faces Rob Doherty of the United States. Ready for round 2?
I am.
Let's get to round 2. Here's Marshall Sutcliffe.